Hey everybody, this is Kohdok here. So, as part of my toy studies, I've been going over a bunch of old cartoons from the 80s and 90s. Now, my favorite show growing up was Beast Wars, but recently I've been going over some more obscure stuff. There's Ulysses 31, an epic version of the Odyssey in Space, Inhumanoids, which was really weird, Sectars, which was somehow even weirder, and Visionaries, which is surprisingly good. However, one series I recently discovered hits me right on the nostalgia button.
In the near future, Doc Terror and his cyborg companion hacker unleash their forces to conquer Earth. Only one force can stop this evil, a handful of brave men, the Centurions.
The Centurions was a show developed in the mid-1980s by Ruby Spears and was animated by Sunrise. Yes, that Sunrise. You might have seen it on Boomerang at some point. Now, if you take Iron Man, give him the ability to get any special weapons he wants whenever and wherever he wants them, and multiply him by 3, and you've basically got the Centurions. The Centurions features a team of 3 heroes equipped with special suits called Exo-frames. While on their own they enhance physical strength, the real power of the Exo-frame is the ability to combine with special assault weapon systems using their many hardpoints which are teleported to them from the space station Sky Vault, allowing them to equip the proper weapon systems depending on the situation. For example, you'll want your smaller weapon systems when you're in close quarters, but when you're up against a larger force, it's time to call in the heavy artillery. The first time I saw this show, I immediately thought these would make the most awesome toys ever, as the transformation scenes made them look oh so sexy. Years later, I find that I'm almost right in that regard. Sadly, I was born after they stopped making them, so I never got to play with them when I was a kid. The show features 3 Centurions. Max Ray is sort of the leader of the team and sports a snazzy Magnum PI mustache. His role is as the water operations specialist, and his suit's always involved in aquatic travel. Jake Rockwell was the laid-back Texas type who was described as the rugged land operations specialist, and had a large variety of armor types as a result. My favorite was the Wild Weasel, an armor that let him transform into a motorcycle. And finally, there's Ace Macleod, the daring air operations expert. Yeah, he can fly. He is also a real ladies' man and is perhaps the most crude.
I could probably handle him okay, but I got an early date. How about some heavy artillery?
Ace Macleod was always my favorite since his weapon systems allowed him to fly. His most powerful system, Skybolt, basically turns him into a freaking jet plane. They are supported by Crystal Kane, who operates Skyvault, her pet orangutan Lucy, and Jake Rockwell's dog Shadow. They were later joined by Rex Charger and John Thunder, but I failed to dig up any episodes about them, and they appeared rather late in the show's lifespan of 2 seasons, having no toys made of either. Up against them is the evil half-machine Doc Terror.
He's more machine now than man.
His partner in crime Hacker, his daughter Amber, and his army of robots. Their goal is to, you guessed it, take over the world.
Of course!
Despite being a generic 80s villain, Doc Terror is actually pretty menacing and can handle himself well against the Centurions as long as they are not using their more powerful weapon systems.
Earth will pay dearly for this treachery. There will be no mercy.
His schemes are often quite well done, and it usually takes nothing less than the Centurions themselves in order to stop him. A lot of these characters and designs were developed by comic book greats Jack Kirby and Gil Kane, and it really shows. The Centurions look awesome, Doc Terror looks appropriately menacing, the fight scenes are spectacular, and everything about it is just aces. Rather than the clumsy and often extremely awkward PSAs of other shows of the time, the Centurions instead taught lessons about science at the end of the episodes. The lessons also speculate about the future, and the show successfully predicted the creation of the iPhone as early as 1986. Apparently some of the lessons were even delivered by Doc Terror. Imagine if they did that in G.I.Joe.
That will teach you not to skateboard in the street, you stupid kid! And knowing is half the cobra!
G.I.Joe!
Unfortunately, like many shows of the time, it hasn't aged all that well. Motivations aren't really explored, characters are pretty hard to tell apart in personality, and the one-liners got kinda silly.
This soy pro tastes like genuine cow. Cow leather, you mean?
It is very much a show from the 80s, being basically a glorified toy commercial. The toys had a very sound concept, however, and I've managed to attain a couple of them recently. I've gotten Ace Macleod, along with his weapon system Sky Knight and Orbital Interceptor. Someday Skybolt, someday. And I got a Doc Terror without any accessories, but this is how he looks in the show most of the time, so I can't complain. These action figures are actually pretty large for something with this sort of gimmick, towering above my Dawn figure, who stands at exactly 6 inches tall for comparison. The idea behind the toys is that they work as a modular system, where the various parts of the armor system's attached onto the hardpoints of the action figure, just like in the show. These parts could be mixed and matched, and often come with their own hardpoints to allow more parts to be put onto them. You can even slap on 2 armor systems at once if you wanted to. There is a rotating cog in the middle hardpoint which can be twisted by anything connected to it in order to activate various features such as firing missiles. Doc Terror has his own gimmick where he can be split apart and given other systems, though he has plenty of hardpoints for the regular weapons parts as well. The toys are also rather obviously products of the 80s, and they come packaged with a set of decals that you have to apply yourself, which is pretty much unheard of concerning action figures these days. They also have very little articulation to them, likely due to the use of such deep hardpoints. The toys are fairly user-friendly and usually require little, if any, special assembly before they can be used. If there is any classic series I would like to see given a remake, it's the Centurions. I mean, Visionaries is well written, but the toy gimmick just lacks the punch that you see with the Centurions. The toys are awesome, and I think that the idea of being able to get what you want whenever and wherever you wanted it would resonate well with the internet generation. Granted, it would need a makeover in order to properly compete with today's franchises, but it wouldn't have to be all that severe. Give Doc Terror motivation, give the Centurions more distinct and clashing personalities, and give the women a chance to show their stuff and you're on the right track. Perhaps Doc Terror could become a true cyber-terrorist and Crystal Kane would have to use her computer knowledge to stop him. Perhaps Amber steals herself an Exo-frame so that she can compete on a physical level with the other cyber-enhanced characters. Heck, maybe even a live-action Centurions movie could be made. A general boost to the quality of the action figures would also be in the works. There's other opportunities for the Centurions as well, like maybe the most awesome Halloween costumes ever. Anyway, that's the Centurions, a relic from the past that I at least think has a future. Hopefully someday our ears will once again be greeted with the clarion call of
Power